Hello, welcome to episode 67 of Your Ultimate Comeback. I'm Brad, your host, here with Raquel, my co-host. How are you?
Doing great.
Good, excited. Today we have a special guest with us, a good buddy of mine, Josh Kalinowski.
You
Did I
got
say
it,
it
man.
right?
Perfect.
Boom.
Perfect.
Boom.
Well done.
Thank you. You're on my phone as Josh K.
Yeah.
Or JK. It's easy. Just keep it simple.
Yeah, so excited to have Josh on the show today. He is the founder and creator of the Chili Dip.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a little deep dive into cold plunge, which I'm really excited about because all my clients are constantly asking about it, testing it out. And there's a ton of misinformation about it, I feel.
Yeah.
So excited to explore that with you a little bit. Before we jump into cold plunging, I want to share a story of one of my experiences with Josh.
Oh.
Josh reached out to me one day. He's like, hey, I want you to, he's from Wyoming, by the way. So he's, hey, I want you to come out to Casper. I got a group of guys getting together. We're going to do this little like men's retreat kind of thing. He goes, but he knows I hate running. He's like, make sure you come out in shape. I'm like, oh my God. So knowing these guys and how they do things, I start trying to run, which is pathetic. And my goal is I'm going to at least run 2 miles before I go out to Wyoming for this event. Because they kept talking about the run. And I remember I was kind of building up. And the last day I was like, I got to get 2 miles in today. I get 1.5 miles in and I'm like, screw it, I'm out. And I walk into Starbucks, grab a cup of coffee, walk back to the gym. I'm just going to figure it out when I get there. And so we're out there and they keep talking about, we go up to a cabin. So we're up in the mountains of Wyoming outside of Casper, this killer cabin. Your family cabin was amazing. And the guys keep giving me a hard time about the run's coming, and how bad it's going to be. And I'm just like, God. And one of you guys like, hey, I'll make a deal with you. If you chop down a tree right now, we'll scratch the run tomorrow. I'm like, done. Like, I'm done. Deal, done. It's like middle of the night. Yes. And so we go out and there's a tree and I'm like, okay, great. They give me an axe and I just start chopping away and I kind of get to fall, but then get stuck. And I'm like, I'm done. And they're like, no, you're not done. Like the tree's got to come down. I'm like, what? So, okay, fine. So I come all the way through it and it comes down and gets lodged and stuck.
Oh, no.
I'm like, look, I'm completely through it. It's down. Like, no. It's got to be on the ground.
Uh-oh.
So these guys made me wrestle this damn tree all the way until I got it on. I mean, the run would have been a hell of a lot easier.
I was going to say, so you wanted to run then.
Get this thing down on the ground finally. I mean, and they were all out there just watching, having a great time.
Oh, my God.
It was an all-out war.
I love it.
But I got the dang tree down.
Right on. Good job, Brad.
Yeah, it was a little metaphor to your life at that time.
It was a very big metaphor to my life.
It was pretty big.
It was funny. So later that day, somebody wanted a chainsaw, cut it down, and so like before the event was over, they gave me the tree stump. Actually, you guys shipped it to me.
We did.
Oh.
So I have it in my home, like right on my desk.
That's cool.
It was a great metaphor. You guys all signed the bottom of it and everything. It was super cool.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was challenging times.
That's
but
like man shit.
Total man. Yeah. Straight.
Sorry.
Yeah. It was. It was perfect for where I was in my life.
Yeah.
I was really going through some tough times at that point. So it was awesome. So thank you for that experience.
Yeah, buddy. That was great. That was great to be a part of it. It was fun for us. And it's a lot of lessons that were taken out of that experience for a lot of other men too. So
it was phenomenal. So yeah. So hey, before we start, Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself. Get a little background on who you are, what you do.
You bet. So I'm a husband to a rock star wife named Kate.
Okay, wait. That is the cutest thing ever.
Well, I'm all about cute. So.
No. That's so sweet that's the first thing out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Every man should listen to that. That's amazing.
Well, we have an amazing marriage. We've been married for 20 years. And
fantastic.
So we've got 4 wonderful kids, and I'm on a 1-on-1 with our oldest daughter right now. So we're having a little great time together here, hanging out. So, so 4 kids. I'm the president of Kalinowski Enterprises, which is a holding company from real estate all the way to roofing. So we do residential, commercial real estate. We do roofing. We do solar. We do property management, short-term and long-term. And we now have the Chili Dip Ice Spa that we are unveiling. So we're really excited about that. So yeah,
love
a few things.
Yeah, this Chili Dip is awesome. It's rugged. It's bad. I just got mine. I can't wait. Like I got to clean out my garage to set it up. But
Very good.
it's I'll let you talk a little bit more about it. But I'll eventually have some videos of it and everything like that. But it's awesome.
You're not going to do it right now?
Well, no.
That would have been good.
Yeah.
It'd actually be nice with the temperature in here.
I know.
You could easily do it now.
Yeah,
for sure.
But tell us a little bit about first off the whole reason why you started Chili Dip, because I love this. I think it was brilliant.
No, I appreciate that. So I've been a cold advocate for 4 or 5 years now, and I was super frustrated with the industry. One is the products that are out there were not built very well, and none of them at that time were built in America either. And so they were very inexpensive products, but they were charging an extraordinary amount of money. And so I started off with cold showers. I started off with Wim Hof, and that got me into the trough. It's like a horse trough. And then I go out there one day, and there's a dead bird in it.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, we're never going to go in that thing again. So then we took the plunge and purchased the ice barrel for about $1,200. And when it came, I was so excited. We got it back to the patio, and then I shortly after realized that it wasn't insulated, that it was black, so it was going to actually take the heat from the sun and make the water so much warmer than it should be. And so I just got very frustrated with the industry. And so about 2 years ago, we had an opportunity to work with a company out of Wyoming that makes coolers and build and create what we feel is the best cold plunge on the market. So the chili dip is something that's, we can talk a little bit more about it, but it's just so excited about it because I personally have seen the health benefits of it. My father, who's 72 years old, is, he's in that stage of his life where the body's breaking down. He's a retired contractor, so carpenter. So bad knees, bad shoulders, bad wrists, bad feet, bad ankles, you name it. Everything is really starting to deteriorate on him. And as many pills as he was taking on a daily basis, I was getting very frustrated with the fact that he was not able to actually get to the root cause of the things that were actually causing him the most pain. And when we started to get him into cold water, it was the ailment that he needed to take like his recovery back in charge, get it back in charge for himself. And so it really brought us down that journey. Obviously, I've got 4 children; they're all athletes, and recovery is so big for them as well too as they're growing. And in order for us to make sure that they are the healthiest that they can be, obviously we look through a lot of things that they can do to make sure that they're healthy. But cold therapy has been the number one thing that we've really focused on, and it's been very, very beneficial for them. So, those are just some of the main points of why we're just so big into this and why we're huge advocates for it.
Yeah, a couple of things about the chili dip that I love so much. One, I work with a lot of big guys, and if you look at cold plunging and big guys, they don't go well together. The guys, they have really hard time submerging themselves in it. Yeah. And so many of them are like either you're trying to sit cross-legged in a barrel or you got to lay in a tub. Yeah. So my favorite thing about what you guys do is 2 things. Is one, you have the step on the hood to be able to get in easy. Yep. But then you guys have that bench on the inside. You can actually just sit down in it, which is huge for myself. I love that. But my bigger guys, even my kids have no problem. They love it too, but they can just kind of sit in it, stand in it, but now my bigger guys can actually get in a cold plunge and get the benefits of it in a comfortable way versus...
So you're talking about Garrett, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Garrett would be a perfect example of, you're 6'6", 300 pounds. Yeah. You're not going to fit in a little bathtub or a little barrel. No. You're going to struggle. So I thought that was really cool. Like, one, the ruggedness of it, how durable it is, the insulation factor with it, how hard it is to open. Yeah. So little kids aren't going to be able to just pop in it easily. Yeah. But then that factor right there, because I think more and more people are getting interested in it. Yeah. But the big struggle has been, well, what one should I get that's going to be beneficial and long term for me? And that's the thing I like about this one is it's once you get it cold, it's easy to keep it cold. Yeah. Which is another that's always been a really hard thing for most people is they get sick of buying the ice or they get sick of how the sun heats it up. Most people want to have it in their backyard. Yeah. And there weren't great products out there for an outdoor one that could handle all the elements that are out there. Yeah. So I love that about what you guys have coming in that realm. Let's talk a little bit about, have you done much research? Obviously, a dumb question, but...
no such thing as a dumb question.
Yeah. Well, the thing a lot of my clients struggle with is the mistakes that they don't know how long to do it, how often to do it. Some are trying to do it every single day.
When to do it.
Yeah. Like a lot of people are trying to jump in it right when they're done working out. Yeah. And there's so much misinformation as to what's the best strategies to use with cold plunging.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that with the science that we know now, there are... I can tell you there's some benefits to it right now that we can talk about, but science could find out in 6 months that there's some different ways to handling it. Yeah. What we know right now is that, on average, you want to be in it anywhere between 2 to 3 minutes a day. If you can get in about 11 minutes throughout the week, that's a very, very good amount that you can be in there. So, you're talking about 3 minutes a day. you're talking about 3 to 4 times a week at the most. One of the things you really want to make sure is like if you track your HRV, which a lot of people track. I know that you were big into the Whoop, and I know that we've talked about HRV in the past, and obviously I know that you know HRV as well too, Raquel. And if your body's already stressed, you don't want to go into an even more stressful situation, which cold therapy will put you into stress. Now, stress is not bad for the body. We know that, right? Stress is actually good as long as you can maintain that stress and you know how much stress you're putting on the body. And so cold therapy is really there to in order to enhance that stress in a very controlled environment, for the matter.
To make you more resilient to it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And we'll talk about this. There's some new studies that have come out about an area of the brain that they have found when it comes to stress and how this area grows. But we can talk about that a little bit later.
Okay, yeah.
But when it comes to getting into cold water, or whether it's a cold shower, whether it's in a cold lake, a cold river, whether it's in the chili dip, that 3 minutes is a very, very good amount of time. After that, you really don't experience any more benefit to it. In fact, you can actually kind of harm yourself. The big key that I think that a lot of people get when it comes to cold therapy is the intimidation that it has to be at the 38 degrees or the 36 degrees, or you got to break ice in order to get into it because that's the manly thing to do, or that's the professional athlete thing to do. And the truth couldn't be farther from that, to be honest with you. You really ideally want to be in temperature between 55 and 65 degrees.
Oh,
especially,
wow.
Yeah, especially for females.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, because you got to, as for females, especially during your monthly cycle, you've got to be very careful of that. In fact, the science is really recommending that you don't go in to cold therapy the week of that cycle, because of what it can do for your body and what it can do to actually harm you. So, for ladies, don't be below 55 degrees. For men, 55 degrees is great. I would say that you don't necessarily need to get below 50 degrees for men. If you want to, that's just more mental fortitude that you're building up. But there's nothing that science is backing that says that you have to be into water that's colder than that.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
I think it helps a lot of people, doesn't it?
100%. I think people
and I assume the temperature is controllable.
Yeah, right. on the OG, you do have the opportunity for a Pro Chiller. We have our Pro Chiller, and I love our Pro Chiller. We've done so much research to this. It's taken us 2 years to actually build this product out, and we're so excited to be on the market right now. But our Pro Chiller does 3 things that most chillers out there won't do. One, it has multiple filters through it. So not only do you have one filter, but you have 2 filters. Then it also does ozone as well too, and science has really found how great ozone can be for the body. So the ozone is constantly being ran through the water to clean the water as well too. The other thing that our chillers do is that we not only can take it down to a temperature of, let's say, 36 degrees that you might want to get down to, but we can also raise it to a level of 108 degrees.
Wow.
And so a lot of what we're seeing too is people doing the cold and the hot contrast. So you've got cold in one and you've got hot in the other, because maybe you don't have a sauna, maybe you don't have the ability to get into like red light or anything to that nature. And so to be able to do both of them is really, really great. In these colder states, I'll give you a great example. John, one of our business partners, it's been about -7 to -10 at any point in the last week and in the evenings. And because of the insulation in our OG, he's been able to maintain a temperature between 38 and 40 degrees in that thing.
Oh, wow.
Which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's coming out of the hose below 50 degrees.
Sheesh.
So that's how insulated this thing is. But with the chiller, if you wanted to keep it at a consistent 55 degrees, because it has the ability to heat, it will automatically kick it on so that he can keep it at 55 degrees regardless of what the outside temperature is doing.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that we love about what our chiller does and what it provides for our clients.
Yeah.
I have a question. I've never done this. I'm afraid, I'll be honest. I am a puss. Yes, I have no problem admitting that.
I didn't say that. I said
but
wuss.
I've worked at several places that offered that. And it always, and maybe I'm being weird, but it always grossed me out that there's 900 people before me in that thing. Most of them sweaty because they think it's better to do after their workout.
Yeah.
So what would you say to that? It's gross.
Well, I mean, obviously, unless you're looking at what the filtration is,
Right.
yeah, it's probably a little bit. I mean, here's the thing: is that the colder the temperature, more than likely at those places, they're consistently keeping those at between 36 and 40 degrees. That's very, very cold.
Right.
Bacteria is not going to grow in that type of that cold water. So the filtration is going to keep through that. We do Epsom. We add Epsom salts to ours as well too. And then there is some solution that you can use for cold therapy water. That's all chemical free as well. So, I mean, there's ways to keep that clean. They're constantly filtering that water. I would say the benefit of getting in for the 3 minutes is probably going to outweigh the grossness that you might be feeling.
Yeah,
so,
but that's why you should buy your own.
That is another thing to do. Buy the own, or just take a cold shower.
But your shower doesn't get that cold, does it?
Well, ours does.
He's in Wyoming. We're in California. So, yeah. Okay.
Your Epsom salt, by the way, is great.
Thanks, man.
I've been using it a lot with my son. So we were just in Vegas last weekend for a big 7-on-7 tournament, and every night we're in the hotel room. He's taking Epsom salt baths with your Epsom salt.
So
he really likes it.
Yeah,
it's so good. Yeah, because it's Epsom salt with lavender or something, right? It smells like lavender.
We've got Recovery, which is the lavender one.
Okay, yeah, he's been huge. He's he looks forward to it, asks to do it.
Oh, that's
cool. It's pretty cool at 10 years old that he's like, can I do? He calls it recovery bath. Can I do my recovery bath? And, he likes to jump in there. He just he feels a big difference with his muscles and. He's grown a lot right now. So
isn't it great though to have these tools at your fingertips to be able to not only use them, but also they see the benefit of it and becomes now a part of who they are and they want to do it.
Yeah.
When they when your children take ownership of their health and their recovery, it's just a wonderful thing because it is such a great example of how you're living your life as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we have the what's your mid-sized one called?
So the medium dipper, the MD.
Yeah. So we have the MD that he likes to use, but he still will only go into his waist.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, he'll get into his waist. He'll sit in there, timer for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
He won't go. He goes, I just need to recover my legs, Dad.
Okay.
It's cute as hell. I got a great video of him. Like,
really?
I'm trying to get him to go down. He's like, nope.
Yeah.
Not yet.
I'm good. I just need my legs, Dad.
Yeah.
Not yet. I love that.
Yeah. I know the question I was going to ask that I just blanked on.
Well, one of the
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Raquel, one of the things you talked about is a lot of people ask us too is like, when is the best time to get in? When's the optimum time? And I would say that there's multiple times that you can consider getting into to cold therapy. First thing in the morning, it's really good because one, it will wake you up.
Right.
It does raise the cortisol level, and that's a healthy thing to do that in the morning, as you well know.
Yeah.
And it puts you on that circadian rhythm, right? So it'll start to burn, especially if you haven't eaten right now. One of the great things about cold water, cold therapy, is that it really does a fantastic job of the release of the brown fat, which that's going to release the mitochondria in the body. That's going to do so many beneficial things. It's going to burn calories. There's nothing, science has come out with an article on this, is that there's nothing that will burn more calories in that short period of time that cold water will do that you can do regardless of it. Yeah. So you can't ride a bike. You can't do a HIIT workout in 3 minutes that you'll get the same impact and effect that 3 minutes of cold water will do for you. So early in the morning is great. Once again, I love to do that. That's part of my routine in the morning. I don't do it right away. I let the body kind of warm up. I get my cup of coffee in. I do my my study. I do all of those things, and then as I'm getting prepared to get to work, then I'll go ahead and do my cold therapy from there. Throughout the day, a lot of people talk about, is it good to get into it right after you do a hard workout? And there's some conflicting science that is out there saying, well, you shouldn't do it on a consistent basis because of the hypertrophy that's involved in that. And I think you guys might have talked to that on an episode, as a matter of fact.
Inflammatory response needs to happen for recovery.
So if you are looking to maximize your workouts, you don't want to do it immediately after a workout. You do want to wait 3 to 4 hours.
Oh, okay.
And then you can. Now, if you did happen to, because let's just say you're on a weekend retreat, those things are not going to have an immediate impact on you. Yeah. So don't be afraid to do that from time to time. But if you're going to make it a consistent routine, you want to wait 3 to 4 hours afterwards.
Yeah, I when I was on the U.S. bobsled team up at Lake Placid, we'd go up there for training camps. Mm-hmm. So we'd have like multiple workouts in a day. They would actually have us. They had this is the first time I've ever been in a cold plunge. It was like a big hot tub. This was back in like 2006, 2007, 2008. They would actually have us get in there. Like we would do a training run or something, and then we'd have us cold plunge and then go eat. And then we'd go do the next activity. They'd have us cold plunge, go eat, Yeah, we do it like, but it was like super short windows of time. But they'd have us do it like throughout the day to get us. And I always felt like I performed. Now we weren't training for muscular growth, things like that. It was, you're out doing sprint work and you come in, ice bath, eat. Then we go, do like, sled runs and things like that. Then, cold plunge, eat. That was my first ever exposure with it. And I actually felt like I was able to maintain my performance better in those runs when we were doing that.
Yep.
So, but again, a difference of we weren't like, going through like big, hard, long workouts. We weren't trying to grow muscle. It was like literally like sprint work, trying to optimize speed, or you're testing things, or, then you're doing starts with the sled. And so I always felt like I kind of maintained my performance better when we were doing that.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, every time that you did the workout in that aspect, when you get into cold water, you're creating an environment within your body where you're replenishing your blood cells throughout. Because once you get into the cold water, all of your blood is getting back to your main arteries. It's getting back to your heart. It's getting back to your brain. And then when it comes back into the body, that's when you've got the release of the brown fat, right?
Yeah.
And so you're basically getting the inflammation out of your body and putting back new blood cells through that area so that you have more strength, you have better endurance, you have better recovery. And it really is it's a good system to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed in that factor. Yeah. That's one of the questions I wanted to ask, because there is this conflicting information of like it's bad after workouts, but I remember however long ago, a long time ago now, like how much better I was able to maintain high performance throughout those week-long camps doing that.
Yeah.
And it was like 3 times a day we were in there for a couple of minutes. Like literally it was like train, cold plunge, have your next meal, go rest a little bit, hit the next category. And I don't know. I've always remembered that as like, that was a game changer for me. Because normally I'd be really sore after a week of 3 workouts a day or 3 training sessions a day. And I'd always get through it pretty well.
Yeah. Well, and so once again, cold therapy is so good. It works with so many facets of your life. If let's just say that you're having trouble sleeping, let's just say you're not a consistent good sleeper, or you have trouble getting to sleep, getting into, once again, cold therapy, taking a cold shower, getting into the chili dip, half an hour before you go to bed, actually puts your body back into that rhythm. And so you will get closer. You'll get your closest to REM sleep when you get into cold water. And then what it does is, as your body naturally starts to heat up, it will put you in that circadian rhythm, saying it's time for you to go to bed. So it's really interesting that you can use it equally as good for you in the morning as you can in the evening as well too. And I know a lot of people that I've done it before as well too. When I know that I'm just getting, I know that I'm not tired, or I got too much sleep the night before, and there's no way I'm going to bed in time, I'll get into either my chili dip or take a cold shower in order for me to make sure that I'm ready for that bed.
Yeah. I learned years ago, so to correlate HRV to that, it's one of my favorite things, but it's hard to get people to do cold stuff at night. But what I've learned is if you're following your HRV, Joel Jamieson taught me this. If you're following HRV and you go into a parasympathetic dominant state, meaning all of a sudden your HRV is just all of a sudden way higher than normal and your resting heart rate is lower than normal, the greatest tool he gave me in that situation is that's when someone's just like stressed and tired, like they just can't get going, nothing's working well. He taught me, this was actually back before cold plunges, have that person go jump in the ocean or a cold body of water right before bed, and it'll reset everything. And it was the best tool I'd ever learned. So people that will monitor HRV that have cold plunge, will always like, hey, you got to get in that cold plunge the night before bed. And it is an awesome, just like basically balance mechanism to get people back into a balanced HRV state. Yep. Yeah, super powerful.
Yep.
His advice was actually jump in the ocean, have a glass of red wine. I'll throw that out there as well. He's like, that was the one time he liked to use like a glass of red wine. That was the ultimate answer that he gave me. So over 21, throw a glass of red wine in there. My young athletes, sorry, don't do that.
It's going to get those blood cells big, man.
Yeah. 100%. So, I've never told your daughter to have a glass of red wine after I told her to go jump in the ocean.
Good. She has access to a cold plunge, I think, at school.
Yeah, she likes to. We just talked a couple days ago. She likes to jump in the ocean.
Wait a minute. You just talked to her a couple of days ago? I haven't talked to her in a couple of days.
Well, she texted me asking me if it was okay. I'm like, yeah, it's great.
I love that.
This is your 19-year-old, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stud volleyball player, beach player.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was texting me asking if she's like, I really feel good when I cold plunge like later in the day. Can I do it? I'm like, 100%.
Okay.
So good.
Yeah. So
I'm glad she's doing it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Your daughter's super dedicated. We all know this.
She is. I would say that's true.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Any other recommendations around cold plunging that like things that I love how into the research you are with this. Anything new that's out there that you're kind of exploring or seeing?
Yeah, one of the things I'm a big fan of Huberman.
Yeah.
Have you guys listened to Huberman
course.
much?
Which he supported the 11 to 13 minutes a week.
He does not support the red wine.
No,
well, okay. I was just sharing the full advice I was given.
That was the one ago. I really honed in on.
So he was. This would have been a while back, and he was talking about some science that had just come out on the brain and some brain activity when it comes to like just doing hard things. And they have found that there's an area of the brain called the anterior mid cognitive cortex or cingulate cortex. It's a really long word. It's very. I had to say it like 1,000 times. This part of the brain is very crucial to the survival of males and females. And what they found is that when they get older, the harder of things that they are doing, the larger it gets. In people that are overweight and obese, it's very, very small. When people that are in their 80s and 90s, it's very large. They found it very large in athletes. And so what they're calling this now is the gene of will to live.
Oh,
and wow. I love this idea because, Brad, you and I have talked about this many times about just like, for men especially, we have to do hard things. We innately want to do hard things, but as we get older, because we don't have anybody necessarily pushing us, or we're not surrounded by other people that are doing hard things, we can get pretty soft. And it was such a great reminder to me of why it's so important for us to face adversity, why it's so important for us to face challenges and to intentionally put ourselves in hard areas of our life, right? And so, cold therapy, cold plunging, if you talk to anybody, I was 90% of people, just like yourself, Raquel, like, I ain't going in it. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it. Yeah. And for those that have actually been able to get over the barrier, the fear of it, the discomfort of it, it's been nothing but amazing for them in their lifestyles. It's been nothing but wonderful for them and it has opened up other opportunities because once they start to see the health benefits of that, they go, man, what else am I missing? What else can I do? Sure. What are the other things that I need to be implementing into my life that are going to help me, be able to do even harder and be even bigger things? I was reading in my journal about a month ago, and I happened to reflect on something I did. It was about 2 years or 2.5 years ago. And it was just when I was journeying through the Wim Hof, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there was actually a time in my life where I was only taking cold showers maybe once or twice a week. And I'm an everyday guy now. Like that's my thing. It's part of my routine. But it's hard to imagine that I was actually like that because my life is so different from that now. So I just love that thing about what Huberman was talking about. I think he's just so relative to today is that we have to figure out as humans how to do hard things. And really, if the hardest thing that you have to do is to get into cold water, life's pretty dang good.
I agree.
There was a book you recommend. I can't remember the name of it. It was so good on that topic. It was
Play
a book.
the Man.
What is it?
Play the Man.
There was that one, but another one that was talking about how like once a year you should do something that is like crazy challenging that is safe, but you're unsure if you can even finish it.
Yes.
What was the name of that book?
Yeah. It is The Comfort Crisis.
Comfort Crisis.
Yeah, he's talking about a Misogi.
So great.
Yeah, he's talking about a Misogi.
Yeah. You do some crazy stuff every year.
Yeah, man.
share some with Raquel, and the listeners, like you do some crazy stuff.
Yeah. Well, every year at the end of the year, we always figure out a Misogi that we need to be doing. And a Misogi is, Misogi is a Japanese term that men would do at the end of the year. And it was really like a cleansing of the body and cleansing of the mind. And so they would do something very extreme that they had a high probability in failing at. In order to go and try to do something that was going to cleanse them from everything, the bad, the good that had happened that year. One of the famous stories is that a lot of men would go to this waterfall, and they would spend hours upon hours just at the base of this waterfall, just getting blasted by this cold water. I mean, we're talking 22, 24, 26 hours at a time.
Oh, wow.
And very, very intense. The gentleman that we were talking about in that book, he one of the Misogis that they did was they got a boulder, they sunk it to the bottom of the like an ocean, which is like maybe this is maybe 20 feet, 25 feet, and they had to carry it a mile. And so they would take their steps, they'd come up for air, they'd go back down, They take their steps, come up for air, go back down. I mean, just really amazing things like that. So that got us on a good journey to do. And so one of the things that we've done is we've done the Grand Canyon R3. So it's the rim to rim to rim. It's about 50 miles. And the first time we did it was was in early March. And we had to put crampons in the parking lot, which are these metal cleats that go onto the bottom of your boots because there's so much ice that we were dealing with. And what was supposed to take us 19 hours ended up taking us about 26 and a half, almost 27 hours. And it was it was hands down the scariest thing that I have had to go through. We had 11 guys with us. And there was a point in that journey as we were going back up the South Rim. This is about 2:00 in the morning, absolutely freezing. It was unbelievable, where you could only see the headlights of the guys. So that's when you knew like you were tracking and making sure that people are around. We had guys that were they were sleep deprived. They were hungry. We were running out of that time. We were running out of food. So obviously that's one of the, you don't want to do that. That's one of the no-nos of when you're out there in the elements. And I mean, there was a point where I just had to sit on a rock and go, there might not be a guy that gets out of here. I mean, it was that serious. When we were on that journey, when we went down to the North Rim, we actually found a young man at the age, he's a 19-year-old boy. He was curled up next to the bathroom, no clothes on except for his underwear, absolutely freezing. Whoa. And we had to break into the ranger's house in order to get him food and to get him dried up. I mean, it was bad. I mean, he was probably about another hour away from not being there. So, wow. Yeah, it was a really intense experience. So
where did he come from? He was trying to do the similar
thing?
thing?
So it just kind of goes back to this idea of, we as a culture are not teaching our boys to be men. And, Brad and I have had this conversation multiple times. And there's a group that we have that we fortunately get to go out and do hard things with other men, and we do some pretty amazing things with these young boys to turn them into men. And he unfortunately didn't have a great father growing up. He was working in the Grand Canyon, made a decision to go ahead and try to do the R3 himself.
By himself.
He had a buddy that went down the South Rim with him, and the weather was so bad that his buddy actually went back up, and he decided to go across.
Oh my gosh.
He was not prepared. He didn't have any of the attire. I mean, it was really, really, really bad. And so,
thank goodness that you were there.
Well, and that was the interesting thing, right? Here's all of these guys. We have an Army Ranger, we have a Navy SEAL, William Branham, Jimmy Klager, right?
Williams has been on the podcast before you joined me.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
28, 29 years as a Navy SEAL, and yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's a good man. And so, I mean, we have all of these elite men, and nobody is telling us not to go. Like, none of us in the group are saying, hey, we should probably rethink it. This is a huge storm that's going on. We have no idea what we're getting into. And so nobody said, you guys want to just wait a couple hours? We decided to go, and it was 10 o'clock at night that we took off that night. And there was a reason why we took off that night, because we found David at 5 o'clock that morning. I mean, if we would have been another hour, I guarantee you that we there's no way that he still would have been alive. So it was, it was unbelievable. Yeah, it was unbelievable. So there's a whole bunch more to that story. But what that turned into is, we always know that, for going back to, young boys becoming men, what's the rite of passage look like? We don't do that in our culture. And there's so many cultures that do that. And so we made a conscious decision that we were going to do that for our boys. So my son turned 16 last year, or 2 years ago. We took him on a rite of passage. We're going to take Brady, who's turning 16. We're going to have him do the R2. So it's the South Rim to the North Rim. It's about 25 miles. And we're going to do our rite of passage with him through that. And then the coolest thing about this is that when we decided to go back to do the R3 again, all of us guys, we called up David. And we said, hey, dude, like, do you want to go do this and accomplish this? And he's like, yeah, let's go.
That's awesome.
So we took him on the first rite of passage, and it was just epic. It was super cool, man. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yep. So
you still keep in touch with him, obviously.
We do. Yeah. That's Jimmy does a great job. Him and Jimmy got, stay very connected. And what was really cool about this, he brought his older brother with him. And his older brother didn't know what was going on. And I think he was probably just making sure, like, hey, these men are good guys, right? And he got to see that we were all fathers and what kind of men we were.
Right.
And as we were getting into the canyon, he was kind of just saying goodbye to his brother David, and he's like, He goes, "Would you guys ever do this for me? This would be pretty amazing." So it was pretty cool.
I love it.
I love that. Jimmy's a great guy too.
Yeah. Jimmy's man. He's cool. Awesome.
I love these guys because you would never they're so humble. The things they've done in their lives and accomplished in their lives, they just don't talk about it. Like I didn't even know who Jimmy was until after my event with you guys. He's like, "So what'd you think of Jimmy?" I'm like, "Oh, he's great." And he's like, "Oh, well, here's who he really is." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like, because he was a Ranger, right?
Yeah, 20-year Ranger, retired as a lieutenant colonel, and he taught at West Point.
Yeah. Didn't he report to the president at one point or something?
So he was actually on Capitol Hill, and he was he was a liaison for one of the senators.
Wow. Yeah. Awesome. I mean, it's like you would never know. Like they're just the nicest, most humble. Yeah. Like here I am with this group of guys that could kill me with their pinkies, and I have no idea.
Yeah.
I kind of should have got an idea when we're out on the shooting range with all the guns, and I'm watching this. How in the hell?
Awesome.
It is pretty amazing to be around the elite.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Super fun.
Yeah.
Well, hey man, thank you so much for coming out here to visit with us.
Yeah.
If you guys are interested in the chili dip, I'll put a link in the show notes on where you can get it. They have the one, the OG we're talking about, which is the big dog that's super insulated. They have a medium dipper. They even got a small one. I'm super stoked to have the medium one for my kids because they love it. My daughter's gotten all the way in.
Really?
I'll give them a shout out to my little girl.
I'm telling you, girls, Maddie, Grace, they are in that thing all the time. I can't get the boys half the time. So it's,
I don't even have to.
Girls,
she'll just periodically go jump in it. And
now I'm gonna have to try it.
Yeah. My son, like I say, is to his waist, but
that's all right.
He'll jump in eventually. But they're great. They're super great tools. Yeah. I'm the biggest fan. I actually got the shirt on.
Look at you.
Buddy.
Yeah. I'm a bit. I guess it's my favorite one I've seen out there so far. But we'll put a link in the show notes.
Perfect.
You can check that out if you want to see that. Anything else? Anything else that they can reach out and see?
I tell you what, for your guests and because you've been so great, Brad, we went ahead and we're just going to have you use the code Brad 2025.
Oh, sweet!
It's going to give them they're going to give a great discount on the OG, the MD, whatever they purchase. And we're going to go ahead and take care of shipping as well too.
Oh, sweet!
And
that's expensive.
How much the shipping is? The OG is it's about 100 pounds.
Oh.
It is a beast, fully insulated.
Okay.
It is mobile. It's lockable.
Yeah.
It's got the towel rack on it. It's got the drink holders, and it will soon be considered bear proof. We got to wait for them to go. They got to get out of hibernation. And we had no idea that bears still hibernated, but they do.
Okay.
But as soon as they get out of hibernation come June, we will be officially bear proof. So super excited about that. It's a Wyoming-made product right there, you know?
Okay.
That is awesome.
Brad, say it again.
Yeah, Brad 2025.
Okay.
Perfect. We'll make sure it's all in the show notes.
Yes.
The link to the website with that. Is there an Instagram for Chili Dip or anything like that?
Yeah, you can follow us at Chili Dip Ice Spas. That is that. And then you can always follow me at Joshua D. Kalinowski. There's a lot of the content on that as well too. So
and for the male listeners, guys, like you want to be influenced by a good man. This is the guy I follow. This is the guy when I'm I'll reach out to him and just get advice on being a father and you know, as a man, how should I handle certain things? Because Josh and his crew have been crucial in my development as a man. So thank you for that.
Yeah, buddy. Appreciate you, man.
So
thank you.
Yeah. Thanks again for coming out, man.
Yeah. Love it.
Great
dude.
to chat with you.
Man.
Thank you for all the information on cold plunging because I have so many clients right now that are implementing it, using it. Mm-hmm. And I love, I'm so thrilled to hear like 55 to 65 is
Me too.
the ideal That's not hard to bear. Like that is.
No, the ocean gets cold like that.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say, your ocean is colder than that. So.
Yeah. That's bearable.
Yes.
You start getting below 55, that's when it gets really, really challenging mentally to get in and get it done. So
fantastic.
That's really nice to hear. So some of the people that I'm working with that have been trying it out are going to be really excited to hear that.
Yeah.
So appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you for being
Raquel, it's very
here.
nice to meet you in person.
You as well.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, take care.
Thanks, buddy.